The Supreme Court's verdict on the Ram Janambhoomi title dispute has sparked off a nationwide debate. As you're aware, there are a large number of people in this country, especially those who have a vested interest in trying to, at some level or the other, pick faults with the Supreme Court's wisdom, have come out and said that this particular judgment lacks both moral and legal robustness. We will speak to one of the nation's leading legal authorities, Mr. Harish Salve, this evening to get his view on whether the Supreme Court's judgment stands up to both moral and legal scrutiny. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for speaking to Times Now. I want to begin by asking you the most obvious question. In your view, does this verdict live up to both moral and legal scrutiny, sir?
I'm a little surprised at even the fact that somebody is raising a question mark on the moral dimension of the judgment. Legal, one can have 2 points of view. I think the judgment is clearly right. It evaluated the evidence, it came to a conclusion. Fair enough. Somebody may say, no, I was right and the other side was wrong, and therefore the Supreme Court got it wrong. Well, one person has to be right, one person has to be wrong. I've very rarely seen a litigant walking away saying, actually, the side was right and the court got it right. So that's all right. But we have to all live with verdicts which go in our way. We also live with verdicts which go against us. This moral justification thing, Rahul, worries me a bit because the court was dealing with the title suit.
Yes.
And if in a title suit, the court decided on the basis of the material before it that there was evidence to establish that there was a temple in which there was some activity going on much before the establishment of the mosque. And that's a pure finding of fact based on evidence and material that the court found. And the court therefore felt that as a matter of law, and the Sunni Waqf Board has not been able to establish title to the land as to how it came in.
Yes.
Again, a pure finding of title based on evidence. Then the logical consequences follow that it must go back for the temple. Now, if there are miscreants who have come and demolished a mosque, the criminal law is dealing with that. You have other ways of dealing with that. Today, if I own a house property and somebody comes and occupies it, I try to throw that person out, or in the process, there is a damage caused. I may be guilty of using excessive force and I may have a criminal trial, but do I lose the right to my house? I mean, it's as simple as that. So this kind of a moral argument saying Supreme Court should have punished the wrongdoers, or the Supreme Court should not have given them because they demolished the mosque, I don't know how it fits within the four corners of the law.
That's an interesting point that you bring up here. I don't think many people have actually picked up on that. Let me come to more specific criticisms, Mr. Salve. And let me quote some individuals who have phrased it this way. And I quote them, high-minded rhetoric doesn't blunt the majoritarian edge of the ruling, unquote. How do you react to this? That somehow or the other, the Hindu side was advantaged because, you see, the proclivity of the court was such.
No, if you start with an assumption that the majority must be wrong and therefore anybody who holds in favor of the majority is majoritarian, then you come to one conclusion. But I have a more fundamental issue, and I have a more fundamental issue because these people seem to deliberately obfuscate the role of a court. The court was not concerned with majoritarianism. The court was concerned between two contending parties, one saying we had a temple here prior to the mosque, the other saying, sorry, there was a mosque here and there was no Ram temple. These were the two contending points. That contending point got resolved. Where is the majoritarianism in this? Tomorrow, if you have a commercial dispute between a Hindu and a Muslim, where the Hindu gets a 500 crore decree on a Muslim, will you say it's majoritarian? I mean, what are we reducing our courts to?
Right.
Tomorrow, if there's a dispute between two companies, one as a promoter as a Hindu and one promoter as a non-Hindu, you will say the Hindu promoter has won, it's majoritarianism. I mean, where are we? I mean, if the religion of the litigant in a court is to be seen to judge the moral justification of a court verdict, we might as well wind up India.
Well, that's I think the implication of what is being said, that now we, at least one particular community, cannot hope for justice from the Supreme Court. That's what I think is being suggested.
I ask myself why. You are therefore saying no. Then let's be very clear, Rahul. And this is contempt of court. You can criticize the judgment, saying their reasoning is wrong, their conclusions are wrong, they've misread the evidence, they misread the law. I can understand, because judgments are always open to criticism. But if you say the judges decided this way because of a personal bias in favor of a community, that is attacking not the judgment, but that is attacking the integrity of the court. You are virtually accusing the Supreme Court judges of moral corruption. And that's a ludicrous suggestion. And I'm sorry, people who claim to be champions of democracy are very clear now. And this has been going on for some time. And Rahul, I've been saying this for the last 1 year. It bothers me. There are a group of people who have been using the public interest litigation for us, the so-called civil society of India, who have been using the courts to impose their ideas of governance in the country. And they have now reached a level of arrogance where the courts are either on their side or the courts are majoritarian. The courts are either on their side or they are corrupt. The courts are either on their side or they are subject to being pressured. I argued exactly this in the lawyer case. That if the district judges have given evidence in favor, they have been pressured. The High Court judges have not done anything, they are in pressure. And I told the Supreme Court judges, you decide in favor of, you also decided that death was natural, they will say even you have been under pressure. So I am saying that a particular event has happened. If you don't decide in my favor, you're corrupt. This kind of arrogance, if this is how we are going to run the system, so be it. But this is not a legitimate criticism of the judgment.